Back in the day, when there was no AC, guess how people cooled? Every now and then, you guys got this craziest things happening. You can't get the person out of the building through the main doorway for some reason. And where do you end up getting them? Here you are saving somebody only to have you and your fellow firefighters and that victim fall through the fire escape. This is a guy fixing a fire escape. One of our guys out of Chicago, his dad fell 7 stories and died fixing a fire escape that just came apart underneath his feet. Doing this very same work. And obviously, when all hell breaks loose, guess what you guys need? These are all live load tests. Show you another live load test. Some additional live load testing, right? Dorms, this is typical, right? People are now starting to get on, wedding shots, are starting to get on fire escapes at the banquet hall. College students, non-smoking buildings, where do you smoke? Here's a fire escape. Used to be there. Now it's there. Let me tell you how many people were on it. The guy, there's 3 fire escapes. The one I taking a photograph from, the one that was there that fell down, and one over there. See that other one? The guy turned this into a 5-condo unit. Him and his son fixed the roof, lifted up the fire escape, fixed all the shingles, and put everything back. Guess what he had left in his box? Bolts. He goes, I don't need those. So one day, one of the condo owners is selling it, and somebody wants to go up and take a look at the roof. So the owner of the condo, plus his real estate agent, the buyer and his real estate agent, and also another condo trustee was having to be there. 5 people. Started climbing up, and the whole thing fell 1 story. That's a flat roof. So, nobody died. They're all mangled, twisted, broken, and they all reached for their what? And they did what? That's right. And then their attorney called who? Paramedics. And fire department, and building department. So this thing ended up in a big, huge lawsuit. The fire escape I was on taking photographs, and the other fire escape was in the state of collapse. There's another live load test with not so great results. This is in Iowa. I'm an expert witness. Get called by a lot of attorneys who basically want me to investigate. So it's like CSI fire escapes. Yeah? It's a show coming, but if we're going to try to do it out of Miami, it's a little more. But basically, 3 kids up there watching 4th of July fireworks. And this is one of those houses that somebody turned it into a dorm style, some guy that has tons of money, buys these big old houses and puts 16 kids, and everybody's got a room, kind of one of these things, right? And all of a sudden, he had to do some work right there. So he sends his local guys working, his maintenance crew to go over there. They took the fire escape off, and then they put the fire escape back on after they re-shingled this side, and instead of putting the through bolt back that this side had and that side had before, they put in a nice 2-inch lag bolt through a 1/2-inch hole. So it's a 1/2-inch lag bolt through a 1/2-inch hole, and what was it biting on? And it wasn't even biting into a stud, it was biting into the clapper. So when the kids went up there, it was 2 guys and a girl. The thing pulled away, hit the roof, hit the ground, all their blood. What's funny about this, because you're supposed to keep evidence, and this is still a case, ongoing case. She got hurt. She got maimed. The boys just got all scraped up, but she got maimed. But they put it back. But where did they put all the evidence in the piece? How did we find out that this thing was live? They threw this thing into the woods, into an open field about 8 blocks away. There's a lot of people there, fire department, lawyers, owners, everybody was interested. So, and then in all that mess, what did we find? The smoking gun. What was it? The bolt.
Do you mind, gentlemen?
So the lawyer speaking and basically saying, "Mind, gentlemen, this is an important fact right here," so that my clients can win. They put it back the next day. They were so worried about it that not only did they through bolt it back into the building, they put a leg on it, the leg right on top of the shingles, and so a steel tube right on top of the shingles. And the stair that came back, this never had legs before, so they put legs right on top of the shingles. And then in that corner, where it ties into that corner, there was supposed to be a lag bolt there to hold it in the corner. The hole is still there, and actually, when we went there again for a re-inspection, we actually lifted it. walked it away and walked it back. So it was ready to basically pull itself away. So now the reinstallation, again, done with no permit. So these are the kind of things, whenever you're touching a life safety system for repair, do you want a permit? If it's going to be a life safety system and it's under repair, meaning there are structural issues with it, and an engineer is involved, do you want a permit so that you can have another set of eyes watching it? Because you pull a permit, then the building inspector is now watching, checking the workers' comp liability, checking to make sure that the work was done correctly. Okay? Another live load test, Boston. This is on the hill, Beacon Hill. Cost you a pretty penny just to have an apartment up there. So this guy was lucky because his 5th floor apartment actually went to the 5th floor roof of the building next door because it's on a hill. And the deck over there was gorgeous. And you're on Beacon Hill, you're paying $3 grand a month anyway for your apartment. You and your girlfriend, 25, 26 years old, you guys have been drinking, you just got home at 2, 3 in the morning, drinking. Where do you go to have a nightcap? Neighbor's roof, right? So you go over there, you jump the neighbor's fence on the inside of the wood deck up there, you hang up there, nobody, the neighbors don't know. Phone rings though back over here, you know, on your apartment up there. And who wants to answer the phone, you or your girlfriend? She does, because she kind of remembers where it is. So she kind of jumps over, but the rail is missing over here on the fire escape, and boom, dead. It's another case that's going on. That's a live load test, missing pieces. And it can also happen to a fireman. He's fighting a fire, doing something, backing up, and he's supposed to have a rail to protect him from, you know, because he has to control the hose and back up into something. Missing pieces of a fire escape, put him where? Boom. Who inspects fire escapes? Believe it or not, structural engineers. I went over that. How much they charge? On average, most structural engineers to look at a fire escape for you, 75 to 175. So if somebody tells you, I can't find anybody, do you guys know structural engineers? Right?
Yellow pages.
Yeah. So can people give you that as an excuse, I can't find anyone? You say, structural engineer within 50-mile radius won't get somebody. Otherwise, I'll get you somebody to come down here and look at this. But look in the book, look on the internet, type in on the internet, on the Google, do a search. Fire escape inspection, Concord, New Hampshire. Fire escape structural engineer, Concord, New Hampshire. Guess what you're going to get? A list. Okay? They also allow architects. In some states, it's structural engineers and architects. So a lot of times what we tell people is, you need to be sent some credentials. Because do you want an architect that's been doing decks all his life in wood, has never touched steel, to now be inspecting fire escapes without having some sort of conversation with you? So when you deal with sprinkler guys, when you deal with alarm guys, don't they always meet with you? Don't they always come down and sit down with you and give you their credentials and tell you how long they've been in business and stuff like that? Not always, but you get to see it when you go there and look at the job, whether or not they're professional or not. You see professionalism just by whoever is calling on the phone or whoever is showing up at a site or the results of their work. A lot of people think you guys inspect fire escapes. I don't know why you're picking on this fire escape. The city official was just here 3 weeks ago, and he didn't say anything about my fire escape. He didn't see any of those things you're picking out right now. And if you write a scrape and paint violation, you know what that guy's going to try to make me do during the inspection? Give him what kind of quote? Scrape and paint. Typical 5-story fire escape, full of balconies 20 feet wide, full of stairs 2 feet wide, cantilever at the bottom with a weighted balance stair. 2 people are going to quote that scrape and paint violation, which you will never write ever again. He's going to call Bob the painter. Bob the painter comes down there and says, oh, what's the problem? He goes, I've got a violation from my inspector who never wrote me a violation on this thing. He picks on all this other stuff, but all of a sudden now he's got some bug up his butt that he wants this fire escape thing done. And he wrote me a scrape and paint violation. How much to paint this fire escape? The guy's going to say, I can probably paint this fire escape, depending if you want a primer and top coat or not, or just full black, anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000. And the guy takes a look at it, and he comes back down and says, listen, by the way, you've got some rust in your connections and stuff, so you should take care of that before I paint it. He goes, okay, well, I know a welding guy, or an ornamental iron workshop right down the street, let me call them. So he calls, another guy, Mike, the welding guy. He comes up and looks at the fire escape. He goes, oh, you got a violation? Yeah. He's never written a violation on my building. I've been in this building for 30 years. All of a sudden now he wants this fire escape because he wrote me a scrape and paint violation. The guy goes, okay. But the painter guy said that it needs some treads, needs to replace some repair. He goes, okay. So the guy walks up and down and goes, dude, that's not just that tread. All the treads are bad. I got connections, rails are ready to pop, cement work into the building. He goes, wow, really? He goes, okay, how much? He goes, well, I can repair and paint this fire escape because most of these ornamental guys are going to repair it and paint it. They're going to steal the job from the paint guy who's doing 3 to 5. He goes, well, how much to do this fire escape? That 5-story fire escape, depending on how bad, whether it's 25% rot, 50% rot, or 75% rot, can be anywhere from $15,000 to $25,000 for an average 5-story fire escape. So now he's got 2 quotes, and he's got your violation in the middle. What's your violation say?
Scrape.
Scrape and paint. So who gets the job?
You guys, who's gonna scrape and paint?
Because you wrote a scrape and paint violation. But if you write a repair, paint, test, because you wrote the word repair and you mentioned nothing, the guy goes, repair what? What did you see? That I'll fix it right away. I have my handyman down in the basement. He's gonna, no. I need you to have an investigation done by a structural engineer or a fire escape engineer. He needs to produce a report. He needs to share that report with me. Okay? And then from that plan of repair with a permit, I will then decide whether or not I will order a load test. Because if the repair and refurbishment of this 50 to 75-year-old fire escape satisfies me, guess what I'm not going to order on you? A load test. Otherwise, the law on average says in Massachusetts, you know how often I have to load test your fire escape? Every 5 years by code. But if I refurbish it, do we need to load test it every 5 years? The average for load testing a fire escape after it's been fully refurbished is every 20 to 25 years. Okay? And that's you and the structural engineer having a face-to-face and discussing that this thing has been properly maintained, always been kept painted. So it's a new line in the sand.
How do you know it's been refurbished?
100% of the bolts got swapped out. 100% of the major structural bolts, all the treads got swapped out, all the supports got swapped out, all the railing bolts got swapped out, all the connections back to the building got swapped out. What about all the minor connections? You know, some of the scroll work with some of the little, no, that's minor structure. They keep their original rivets, they keep their original bolts, you know, a welded a bar, you know, those don't need to be done. They need to be tested with a hammer test. Now, I'll add one more piece here. All welded fire escapes, they only make up about 1 to 2% of all the fire escapes in the nation, and they last 25 years and then they rot out again. Because welded connections are not a standard for fire escapes, but they're out there. Every welded connection I encounter must be rebolted. Not rewelded, it must be rebolted. I don't care what the condition is of that weld, because you want to guarantee, my only way to guarantee that is to load test it or x-ray it. You know how expensive it is? You know, if I put a 30-cent bolt through it, you know what I have to do? Do I have to load test it anymore? Do I have to x-ray that weld anymore once I back it up with a bolt? So every welded connection I find, I will back it up with a bolt, and it eliminates the need for you to throw a load test at my client. Question?
What kind of bolts do you use? What's the material they're made of?
Very good question. You don't need titanium bolts, you don't need any gold bolts, you don't need any special bolts, you don't need grade 8, grade 5. I can take a tread, put it together, take a wooden peg and stick it in there and have you step all over it every day and as often as you want, and it's not going to do anything. What destroys a bolt is that when rust gets in between a connection and it grows, it rips the bolt open. That's it. So you don't have to have stainless steel, you don't have to have grade 5, grade 8. You can replace it with standard bolts.
When you look on the head of the bolt, you've got tags which tell you basically the strength of the bolt. There's little ticks.
Yeah, 3 ticks is a 5 grade. Yeah,
right.
You don't need any grade. You need a standard bolt, which was what they used 100 years ago, is the same bolt today. A bolt will not shear. I'll give you a hammer. I'll give you a 3-pound or a 5-pound hammer, and I'll let you shear it for me. I'll let you pound the hell out of a tread until it shears, and you will hurt yourself.
What diameter?
All standard bolts for treads are 3/8. Then as you start getting up into stringers, it goes into halves and into 5/8. But it takes 4 3/8 bolts to hold one tread in place. And we'll cover that. I'll show you all that connection. City official, fire escape inspectors. There's only 2 licenses in the country for you to touch fire escapes. One's out of Boston, put out by the building department. The ones out in California, put out by the fire department. I have both, but otherwise 48 states don't have anything. So if a fire inspector from Boston or from California wants to inspect in your state, you know what he's got to do? He's got to do the same thing I got to do. I got to send you my credentials. I got to send you my information. I got to send you my sample inspection reports and say, I'm qualified. I have these licenses. Will you give me the courtesy to inspect in your state? You know what you can say? No. I need a structural engineer. Say, great. Can I back my inspection up with a structural engineer stamp from your state? He goes, yeah. So a lot of times, believe it or not, some inspectors have to wake up a structural engineer who knows less than they do because you need to have that stamp. That's not a problem. But that's how you get around that in case we can't inspect in your state without having a structural engineer backup. We just get a local, or we have a structural engineer on staff that is licensed in 40 states. But that's how you can do it, you know. So some inspectors are going to try to inspect in your area from Boston. Very few are going to come out of California. But some from Boston will come in, they work their way up here. And they have the right. They just have to qualify themselves with you. They have to give you credentials. I think it's on your sheet there. If you look at, if we were to speak with you, we'd send you our credentials. So let's take a look at this quick book, and let me tell you everything we're going to cover today. Every time I inspect, I have to send you one of my credentials. And way before I charge the client, I have to tell you, I've spoken with your inspector, and he has or has not authorized me to inspect. But I speak with you, and I say, hey, I teach classes. Here's my 2 licenses down here at the bottom. Here's my my credentials as far as what I've done and where I've done it. I usually send you a sample of my inspection reports, and this is what you're going to be getting with photographs and markings. I also talk about the lead law, you know, the EPA, that I'm going to be, make sure that whoever's fixing the farscape has the lead law. If I need to draw any farscape solutions, I send you samples of my drawing skills. So here's all these drawing examples. If all of a sudden we're going to put in a ladder or a spiral or a catwalk over a roof, I'm going to show you drawings of the typical farscape connections, which I'm going to cover today, and how all farscapes are connected into buildings. So I'm going to use these little diagrams to help you. I'm also going to have right up here typical load test criteria. So that you say, well, what's your load test criteria? Well, it's right at the top. You can't read it, but I'll blow it up into a full-blown page for you of load test criteria. Here's my inspection repair guidelines. So I'm going to tell you how I'm going to fix every tread, every support. There's a standard inspection guideline. These are the things that we'll give you so that you'll make any vendor, any engineer show up. He's going to follow these industry standard guidelines, which are available and can be viewed at the National Farscape Association website. How about these confidence tests? Now, obviously, I've shrunk a lot of these things for sake of paper, you know what I'm saying? But here's a confidence test that's online as we speak right now. I don't have to give you this one. You can go to seattle.gov, go to their fire protection, fire prevention. But I'm going to send you this stuff anyway, so but you can go there and you look under the certificates. They also have a bunch of other certificates that you may want to steal. Sprinkler certificates, alarm certificates, and it's these inspection documents. But one of them that they have there is a farscape confidence test. This is my confidence test that they basically copied every one of my questions and put it in there. And when you start looking at page 1, page 2 of this, it's pretty heavy questions for a structural engineer to answer. So we're going to cover some of those questions today. The last thing that we did on here too is what's called the yearly. This yearly test, when you look at it, has 3 simple questions. You know who does that every year? The building owner, the management company. They hand you a document that says, I've had my 5-year, but here's my yearly, and all the pieces to the farscape are working. There's nothing on the farscape that looks bad. The paint looks good on my farscape, and if there's any moving parts on my farscapes, they're working. So every year the owner gives you a signed document that says, I'm on top of my farscape. How would that sound? Okay, now let's take a look at the last piece of the puzzle here. Tags. Here's what the tags look like, guys. Now imagine, now who's using this? Seattle, Tacoma, New Jersey, Massachusetts. Is it a code? No. Is it a local, we call it procedure? Departmental procedure to put tags? Yes. So let's take a look at what's the intention of these things. And again, I'll show you in the class. Ready? It's the middle of the night, nice and smoky. You're going down a dark alleyway, and 7 to 10 feet off the ground, you have this thing up there. And what's it say? Farscape has no difficulties. White. It's almost like walking into an elevator and it has a tag that says what about the elevator? It's certified. So every time you walk around any building, so in your ordinance and in your city, every fire escape must have a tag. That's what Seattle did. Seattle's now going through the 3 to 5 year time frame that it's going to take to get every fire escape to have a white tag. And who does this help? Helps the tenants. Because when they look outside, they see a white fire escape tag, what's it say to them? They're safe, they can get on it. In the middle of the night, you guys running up to a fire escape, and they see a white tag. Oh, let's see if you guys remember the old, the gray-haired guys tell the new-haired guys with dark hair, in case of fire, don't use the, see? That's the word that's been being passed out for 75 years. And they say, you show up, use your own stuff. Go get the ladder. Go get the, wait for equipment to arrive. 3 to 5 minutes to a baby, to a mother, to, during smoke inhalation. What kills people, as you know? The fire or the smoke? You don't got 3 to 5 minutes. So you get there, and all of a sudden you got to climb a ladder, or you got to go up a stairwell, and there's a white one there. What are you going to do? You're going to use it. You're going to get up there and save that baby and that mother. All of a sudden, you're doing a daily walkthrough because you happen to be across the building. You look at this fire escape, and right there it says month, year, next due date. With 7 to 10 feet. That's 7 feet off the ground right now. Are you able to tell when the next inspection date is going to be? And if it's out of date? If you can read that from 7 to 10 feet off the ground? It's going to be right there. Nice and big and black. Right? So you're going to be able to see on here when the next inspection date is without having to go back for your record. So this tag has an expiration date. That's when they pass and they're certified, when all things are great. 3 to 5 years from now, all things will be great in your city. That's how long it's going to take to fix 75 years of neglect. So this is not something we're going to fix overnight. We'll show you the program of identifying fire escapes. But you get there in the middle of the night, and you get one of these. What's yellow mean?
Caution.
Caution. Should I go get my ladder?
Yep.
Yep. Now, it says that if you get a yellow, how many days you have to fix it? 30 days. If your tenants are reading the back and you got a yellow, think I'll hold up my rent if I have a yellow tag on my fire escape? Think there's going to be a little bit motivation by the owner to get his fire escape fixed if he's got a yellow tag on his fire escape? You got a red one on the fire escape. What's it mean?
Now, who's putting these tags on the?
2 people are going to put up these tags, and I'll explain that, but on this red tag, jump on it, you get on it, will the tenants, they see a tag that says the fire escape is out of service, will they pay their rent? The question is, who puts these out? We'll make these tags for you. We'll put your information and your name on here. You are only going to issue yellows and reds. The only one that can issue a white one is a structural engineer or a fire escape engineer. So you'll never put one of these out. You'll have white ones because everybody's going to want these tags with your city name on it, and these tags with blanks here. We'll provide those for you free of charge. They'll have your code here, your information. It's a very standard generic tag, industry standard tag. Now, who puts out if I'm an inspector, I will put on that fire escape after my inspection, I'll put a yellow, a red. I won't put a white right away because I got to send a certificate, I got to make up a tag, and within a week to 10 days, the tag will be issued. But the certificate already comes to you. But if the fire escape needs repair, and usually 75% of the ones I expect to do, I will be leaving a yellow and a red, and I'll be contacting who? I will have conversations with who about what needs to be done next. I'm going to try to convince you not to order on this client what? No, you want to order the load test. So what am I going to try to do in my sit down with you? Convince you of what? What kind of plan do I have? A good plan, right? Something that is going to satisfy you, because right now your first word out of your mouth on every fire escape you run across is load testing. And can I just load test it in the as-is condition? Any fire escape? No, I have to spot repair it and load test it. So if I got broken treads, whatever, I still got to fix those before I can even load test it. Because you're going to get some people that are crazy, they don't want to refurbish it. And what can you say to them? Then spot repair it, because your engineer is going to tell you what the spot repairs are, and load test the fire escape. Well, how do I avoid a load test? Full refurbishment. Well, why do you want a full refurbishment? The thing is great. The thing is 75 years old, dude. You've changed the doors and the windows on this building more than you've ever done the fire escape. These windows here, you probably got another 15 years before every one of these windows gets ripped out of here, and you gotta put in brand new windows. You flipped your roof more times than this fire escape has been repaired. Because it's the bastard child of egress. I'll give you an example. You get into a building and I'm gutting out the whole building and I'm making it nice apartments and stuff, but I got this rear staircase that is just a pain in the ass, and if I had that extra space, I could expand the closets, have some great bathrooms back there. So I do. I got, this 5-story building and make 5 condos out of it, and I take the staircase out of the back. You know what I'm saying? And then here you are doing your final walkthrough, and you're going to give me the occupancy permit, and you walk in and you see the first stair, and you're walking around the back, and you're like, hey dude, where's the second means of egress? It was an old rickety small stair. I took it out and I blew it up into additional closet space. You gonna let that building open? So if it's inside, you guys have this crazy thing in your brain that you'll freak out on that building, this guy's not opening it up, and there's all kinds of, how can the building inspector allow such a thing? And you guys are gonna freak out, right? Same building. And now the fire escape's on the outside of the building. And they spent $3 million getting these 5 units into, top end, and the fire escape didn't get touched once. Yet you look outside, and you see all the treads are still there, but it's old. It's a 75-year-old building. And he doesn't have a certificate, and never had his, and he needs his occupancy permit, because everybody's coming in 3 days. You guys gonna freak out? Good. Normally you don't. Because fire escapes, everybody assumes they're gonna work, everybody assumes they're there, everybody assumes they're rock solid, everybody assumes. So you take a staircase out of the inside of a building, everybody freaks. You have a bad staircase on the back of the building, and everybody's got days to work on it, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, So as soon as it steps outside, it becomes, as we call it, the bastard child of egress. Out of sight, out of mind. Let's hope it goes back in a hole and hides somewhere. But you guys now, in your day-to-day inspections, start making up tags, and it's going to have your city name here. A majority of the time, you're going to put one of these with a zip tie on a fire escape, because when you're walking down, it doesn't have a tag. And when you look at it, you're going to start identifying square head bolts, rivets, which indicate that the thing has been refurbished in its lifetime or never been refurbished in its lifetime. If it has original square hardware, never been refurbished. Is it feasible that something could be out there 50 to 75 years and never had one bolt change on its treads? So minimally, can you throw a yellow on it without a problem? If you look up and you see a dangling tread, what did it just become? A ring. 3-hole punch. You laminate it yourself, so you print these out through Staples or in your own office on colored paper, and then you laminate it with your own laminator. And you have about 50 or 100 of these in your truck all the time, or your car. And then whenever you run across a fire escape, you just tag it. Because for the next 3 to 5 years, you're just going to start tagging fire escapes. It's an awareness program that you started. Are you starting an inspection program in your city, or are you starting an awareness program in your city? Which one is going to get less fight back? It's an awareness for who? For the tenants, and for who else?
For the landlord.
And who else? And the firefighters, so that they know the general condition of the fire escape in the as-is condition. So you leave yellows and reds. And when you read, the first thing it says on the yellow, if I'm the landlord of that building, I come and I see a tag. It says you can't remove this tag by order of the fire official. It says number 1, contact fire official, because repair permits, violation fines, and certificates may apply. Number 2, have fire escape inspected. Confidence test by structural engineer, fire escape inspector, with reports, violation identification, and photos. What's the 3rd step? Service and load test. All structural repairs to be done under permit as per report, oversight, and final confidence test. Can you eliminate the load test? Can you eliminate the load test? Otherwise, the word out of your mouth every day is load tested. They say, well, can I do anything else? I said, yeah, as a matter of fact, you can. You can spot repair it and load test it. Is there anything else I can do to give you the guarantee and assurances that you need for the tenants and for the firemen? Oh yeah, there is this one other thing. How about you refurbish this 50 to 75-year-old fire escape, which still has all its original hardware, which amazes me that when you swapped out your windows and swapped out your roof, you didn't swap out your fire escape. But that's okay, because steel is very forgiving. But I need that with a structural engineer, oversight, and a permit, you refurbish that fire escape back to a new line in the sand for us, I will not order a load test. How does that sound? Feasible? I'll pass these around back to you so you can, so take turns looking at what they feel like, what they look like. Guys, with so far in the class that I've taught, this fire escape, Fort Lee, New Jersey, pass or fail, just from the observation. I think so too. I think it failed. So why did the secretary call me and say, hey, can you come down here and look at this fire escape? Because I had a structural engineer's report on this fire escape. And, you know, thank God it's a white one, because I took more photos than you could ever believe, because very rarely you get a white fire escape that has so much rust on it. It became a case study. But the case study on this was this part. Does this look like that sheet of paper that somebody says they got it? The guarantee, right? This is that guarantee letter you're looking for, right? There it is. Put that in the file. Will that save tenants and firemen? Does you putting this letter in a file save a tenant or a fireman? It gives the estate of these people who got hurt or killed somewhere to go to collect a bunch of money, but you still have to put somebody in the ground to collect on that lottery ticket. But this is the letter you can get. I'm not saying that all engineers are bad at what they do, but this is the bastard child of egress. 6 times the work, 1/6 the pay, because you can't get 2, 3, 5 grand for this inspection, right? Nobody's been looking at this for, 75 years. Why all of a sudden somebody's going to charge me 5 grand to look at my fire escape? Because that's what most engineers like. You know, they do a foundation investigation, 5 grand, 10 grand. Building structural wall, blah, 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 5 grand, 10 grand. Bridge, something or other is 25 grand. Fire escape, dude, you can barely get $300 to $500. So he wrote this letter. You know what he wants? He said, at the steel door, fix the door. Number 2, there's some platform straps that are bent, unbend them. Fix 1 tread and then give the fire escape a scrape of paint. Look at my report. Treads are fallen. Gussets, stringer gussets fully blown out with the rust. Treads on the ground. Channels eaten with rust. He gave you any photographs? Because had he said and sent this, hey, the fire escape is in good condition, a couple things I need to fix. By the way, here's about 100 photos of the entire fire escape. And you started looking at these photos, would you question this guy? So do any structural engineers provide you with photographs of their inspection of a fire escape? Never. Because had you seen the photographs, you would have freaked out. So guess what you demand of every inspection of a fire escape, so you don't have to go down there and check it out? A report. The report must carry what? Photographs. It says that on the confidence test. You must provide me with a report with photographs so that you and I can have discussions. You in your office, me in my office, and we can talk about what? The fire escape problem. Because right now, who has to convince you out of a load test? The owner or the structural engineer? Because every fire escape you're going to step on, you want the word guarantee, and the only one, right now, the only guarantee you're getting is coming from what? There's only 2 options to get you guaranteed. Number 1 is the ugly word, it's called load test. Is there any other options? Yes, there is. Spot repair and load test. What's my 3rd option? Refurbishment. Under the guide of who? Who's going to babysit this thing all the way through to the end and still give you a signature guarantee signed letter? The structural engineer. So who's going to oversee the permit process? Who's going to oversee who's going to go there 3 to 5 visits while the thing is being repaired? You? You got time to babysit this thing? Because you got a guarantee. You say, dude, you don't want to spend. The engineer says, dude, what are you crazy? I don't got time to go down there 3 times and look at this fire escape and make sure the guy's doing it right. Gives you all that shit. Fine. Fix it whatever way you want, and I'll see you on the day of the load test. Right? Keep pulling out the trump cards. Oh, really? You really don't care about the tenant or my firemen that are going to be showing up? Do whatever you want to it. Tell me what day of the load test. I want to be there. And if it passes the load test, we'll do it again in 5 years' time. How's that going to carry? Here's a load test. Or criteria. California, this is all I have to fill out in California. I have to fill out this form. This is for sprinklers, alarms, for everything. And I have to describe what I'm inspecting, and then I have to do a little write-up. I found that inadequate. So I started making up, there was no confidence test in the nation, so I created one. So every confidence test you find in the nation, I created it because it didn't exist. And it has critical questions on there. Okay? And the questions that you have in your confidence test that I showed you in your book came from these questions. There's a structural review and there's a general review. Yes, no questions. Not opinions. I don't want your opinion letter anymore. Is all the connections free of internal rust? Yes or no? Is the cantilever ladders, the balanced cantilevers in the ladders, do they drop 2 to 3 feet per second, hit the ground and stay down? Are all catwalks continuous over all roofs to a public way? It's all questions right there. The guy answer yes. Did you verify the connection into the building that is 75 years old, or did you just duplicate it to avoid having to verify that for me? Otherwise, give me a load test. You don't want to do all that stuff? Give me a load test. Fix it. Don't just load test it as is. If I get it on the day of load test and I got rust in the connections and I got that, I said, dude, what are you doing? I'm going to load test it. No, you're not. For a load test, minimally, you got to spot repair it, then load test it. Because the only reason I'm letting you load test it is because all the repairs were done, and all I'm really load testing it for is because every bolt is old. It's 50 to 75 years, it's original hardware. That's the only reason you're load testing it, and because the load test is going to verify the connection into the wall. Because if it passes, everybody's happy. If it fails, I got fire escape and wall on the ground, and everybody jumping up and down. And it's a circus. We're going to get videotape, we'll get the local news station down here, and this will be great. That's all the load test is going to tell me. It either passes beautifully with flying colors, or there's pieces on the ground that we're all laughing about. Otherwise, there is refurbishment. I think it's about time we refurbish some of these 50, 75, 100-year-old fire escapes. I think it's time. You guys don't have 100-year-old hoses on your trucks, do you? You know what I'm saying? So, even though they work though, right? You can have some of these refurbished museum pieces that have the hoses from way back when, and you throw water through there, it will hold. Some of them won't though. Do you know which ones? Nobody does. That's why you replace them. You know, you basically, it has a lifetime. You think fire escapes were made to last unpainted 50, 75, 100 years? And that's what they've been. So these questions and answers, basically Tacoma, Seattle, Chicago, Texas, we basically created a confidence test, and we put, for whatever city wanted one, we created a confidence test. So the test the one that we do for you, the one that we have here, and this is Tacoma's, saying yes, no questions. No longer opinion letters. Yes, no questions. And when you read them, it's simple stuff. It's not hard. It's not things you wouldn't expect from an instructional engineer to answer yes, no. So you can avoid the load test. You don't want to answer these questions, dude, then you're just giving me an opinion. Opinions put people in the ground. Tenants or firemen. But the great thing I liked about Tacoma that nobody else did, they also added the 1-year inspection, which I made it part of I married Seattle's and Tacoma's. And look at the 3 questions. Bolts and supports are not damaged or rusted. Paint is in good condition. And all moving parts, ladders, stairs, windows, and doors are operable. Sign the name of the owner of the building or the management company. Every year when you walk their building, guess what they hand you? Every year at the bottom in the alleyway, you stand there and you say, go to the top floor, come down your fire escape and hand me this document. You walking it or are they walking it? They are. So they already passed the 5-year structural, but every year from there on, you say, it says right here, paint is in good condition. And you look up. It's getting kind of ratty again. What are you saying? He said good. What do you say? What do you order on them? A load test? No. That's every 5 years, right? What do you order them to do? Maintenance. Keep it painted, dude. Because right now I'm not going to accept this document. So minimally go do some spot painting. Spot paint all this rust. Every connection we repair, as a standard industry guideline, you open it up, you prime in between the two, get all the rust out. Before you close it, what do you put in there? What would make sense? Silicone? 50-year silicone? Then you put the piece back together, tighten the bolts, run your finger around the end. What do you got? A sealed connection? You think you're gonna have to fix that in 50 years' time? Never. You'll replace the fire escape before you let them fix that connection again. Now it's truly, after the fire escape has been refurbished and sealed with 50-year silicone and every connection, I mean every major and minor connection gets sealed, what's that client have for the rest of his lifetime in that building? Paint problems. Now you can truly write scraper paints the rest of your life, but here's what a tag looks like in Seattle. 19 inches wide, 11 inches high. But it's yellows, reds. See the company name, who's ever doing the thing? See the year, 2007, see the next year, 2012? See that? Can easily be read? I think it's okay. So I think you need to make it so you can print it out of your machine. But Staples prints these out for them, so you have to actually call Staples, give them a building address, and then, or you can do this thing, you know, you can start putting in, you know, the little thing that you type on, and the little piece of tape comes out. Professionally, it should be, you know, you can either handwrite it in, you can have blanks, and you handwrite it in with marker, and some of these tags are actual plastic, resistant to weather, gonna last at least 5 years. My question to you in the middle of the night, if a fireman showed up, could you see those tags? Not a problem? No, those tags before, the yellow and the red, is the first thing a fireman looks for. Can they see them if they're 7 to 10 feet permanently affixed to the building or the fire escape? And it's colored. We really care about the date. Those you see during the day. What's the main purpose of a red, a yellow, or a white tag? It's color. To tell you what, if it's white, it's all right. Yellow, proceed with caution. You can still use it to a certain degree, but that yellow is going to get fixed very soon. If it's red, that building's not supposed to be occupied anyway. This is rust at a detention center, a youth detention center. So if the sentence doesn't get you, what else could get you? It's all rust underneath that you couldn't see. Now, you guys have gone up and down fire escapes. Now, from my cases that I had to work with a metallurgist who told me nationwide to grow a 1/4 inch, and you should write this down, 1/4 inch of rust, it takes 25 years of normal weather. To grow 1/2 inch of rust, it's almost 50 years of growth, unchecked. So every 1/4 takes about 25 years to grow that much rust. This rusty tread, how many years? This rusty tread on a school, how many years? Right? And that has children up and down it every day, right? But now, here's the problem, that if you start walking these fire escapes, and you're going to use your eyeballs from the street from now on, you're going to look out a window, you're not going to step on these fire escapes anymore because they're dangerous. Let the structural engineer or the fire escape inspector do his job and tell you how dangerous it is. You are looking for original hardware and you're looking for expansion and rust. As soon as you see that, you've got a violation. Don't get on it. You can see all those from the ground. And this is what you have to avoid. Because when you have a fire escape tread that's this bad, and believe me, it doesn't have to get the 1/2 inch, and you're going up it or you're coming down unknowingly, this is what occurs. This is a 3-pound hammer test for our safety.
Okay, I think that's it. I'm gonna stay down here so I don't get hurt.
Okay? So if you go up and down these fire escapes and there's a tread, if you're going down and your foot goes through, you're going to snap your knee forward. You ever coming back to work? If you're going up and you fall through and you fall backwards, you're going to hurt yourself. And you may come back to work because when you fall backwards, it's a natural way for the knee to flex. But when when this fire escape locks up your leg and you snap your knee forward, you're not going to be dancing, much less walking correctly. Cantilevers. Take a look at fire escapes. Cantilevers. The main way to keep thieves off your fire escape or off your building was to have a cantilever at the very bottom or a weighted ladder that came down. And these things are usually 12 to 15 feet, 12 to 14 feet off the ground. Primarily so the trucks going down alleyways don't smash into them, because most trucks are not built beyond. But let's take a look at some of the things that happen when the fire escape starts to become out of balance. Is this fire escape starting to become out of balance? Because it's supposed to be horizontal, right? Is this fire escape out of balance? Now, if you see that walking down the alleyways, this thing pointing into the sky, does that look like anybody can operate that thing and work with it? So you're going to write me what? A violation. You know how I stop you from writing me a violation? I go to Home Depot, because I called the guy to fix this, and he said, oh, it's the whole balance is out of whack. You need a release arm on this thing. I got to move all those weights. I need about $2,500 to fix this thing. So the guy goes out to Home Depot and he gets $25 worth of chain, and he ties it over here, and then he pulls it up and ties it over there somewhere. Guess what it's now doing? It's now horizontal. Okay? Now, here's how cantilevers are supposed to work. They're supposed to be self-act, when you actuate them, meaning you either release them or you step on the first tread, which means it's so perfectly balanced, it's like a Swiss watch. It's supposed to drop 2 to 3 feet per second, hit the ground, and stay down. Does that make any sense? Tenants can self-evacuate. You guys arrive. Guess what you have there waiting for you? A fire escape stair on the ground. They used to be 12 feet in the ground, up in the air, down, saying, come on up and help fight the fire. Does that make sense? Okay. So, if all of a sudden it's out of balance, because guess what happens when it snows, and I got heavy accumulation of snow on my perfectly balanced Swiss watch cantilever. It drops at what time? 3 in the afternoon or 3 in the morning? 3 in the morning, guess who gets a call? The landlord gets a call and says, what? What's the problem? The cantilever is down in the alleyway. Can you come here and pick it up and put it back up? Well, it's like a fine-tuned Swiss watch. It's so perfectly balanced. It didn't even have a release arm. This one, you just step on the first tread, and automatically she steps all by herself, hitting the ground, and hits the ground and stays down. And the guy does this about 2, 3, 5, 50 times. You know what he says? So, dude, call the local ironwork guy, tell him to come over here and put some weight where? On the back. Oh, but if you put weight on the back, this thing's going to do this, because it's like a Swiss watch. Oh, no. Take a chain, put it there, and tie it off, and put some weight on the back. So now, and this doesn't have a release arm. If I had a release arm, now it's already weighted the other way. As soon as you let it go, it weighs about 25 pounds more. You release it, it drops 2 to 3 feet per second, hits the ground, stays down, right? I'll show you one that's actually going to get released. But now let me show you the story that's going to come. You got a fire escape that if it's balanced backwards, and they put a little weight or a lot of weight in the back. Usually. A lot of weight. So that people can't pull it down as easily. But you come down that fire escape and you're a 150-pound woman, and you got a 50-pound child behind you. You put the kid in front of him behind. Going down a fire escape. Put the kid behind, and you go down the fire escape and you walk. You come down there, and you step out 3 treads. Does it go down? You go up 5 treads. Does it go down? Usually, between 5 and 8 treads. You're already halfway. And as soon as your weight counteracts the whole thing, guess what this thing is doing? It's giving you a nice ride now. Is it 2 to 3 feet per second or 5 to 10 feet per second? 5 to 10 feet per second. It slams the ground, and it does what to the mother? But she holds on. Thank God she held on. She's got good hands. So she slams, she starts crying, the baby starts crying, she's freaked out because this thing just hit the ground violently. She held on, waited back, everybody's now crying and screaming, and she proceeds down the rest of the stair. And as soon as she gets to that last stair right there, child behind her, she takes 150 pounds off the fire escape, what happens? Baby goes up 12 feet in the air, which is, plus minus that. And she goes, hey, jump to the 6-year-old or 8-year-old, even 12-year-old. Jump. Kid's doing what? Kid's crying, it's frantic, mother's screaming. Screaming, there's a fire in the building. It's an alleyway. And the mother says, that's my kid. She runs down the alleyway to the front of the building to do what?
Go back in, come back out.
Go back in. That's a good thing to do, right? Does she have her, she needs to open up that front door.
Keys.
Does she have her keys in her nightgown?
Right.
So she's looking around, she's ready to whip a chair or a barrel through the front glass of the place. Does she have keys to get back in her apartment? Is she thinking about this at all while she's doing this? Just before she's ready to whip that trash barrel through the front glass, who shows up? You guys do. You guys will say, "Hey, lady, what are you doing? What's up?" "Oh, my kid," she's screaming and crying in the back alley. You guys start running down the alleyway. And you as a fireman, what do you say to the kid? Jump. The kid goes, hey, listen, I don't jump for my mother, and I ain't jumping for you. So now all of a sudden you have to go back to your truck and get what? A ladder or the pole to go up and do what?
All the stairs.
Grab the stairs and pull it down. And you pull the stairs down, put your foot on it, and you reunite the mother with the kid. Now, can you take your foot away? Because if you take your foot away, what's going to happen?
So go back up.
You got all these firemen starting to show up. What do you need on that fire escape?
Oh, wait.
You are the weight. You have a 6-man team. Now you have a 5-man team because one guy's doing what?
The counterweight.
He's a counterweight. So does that make sense? Cantilevers are supposed to be released, and they drop to the ground, stay down, hit the ground, drop 2 to 3 feet per second. There's just a lot of background noise. But basically, we're showing you what this is on a big commercial building. And there's a release arm there. Now, it's supposed to be in somewhere where you can basically trap the weight. The nose of this weighs 25 to 50 pounds more than the counterbalance. So, somebody comes down, there's a piece of the cantilever, that's where it locks into the place, right? And as soon as you get there and you release it, watch. You release it, it drops 2 to 3 feet per second, hits the ground violently. It'll probably hit it once, 2 or 3 times, and stays down. And it just shakes and rattles and rolls. So how often can you drop cantilevers in the lifetime of a building? You want to do this a lot of times? So you got to be careful because in case somebody's going to use that fire escape to work on the building, they're going to smash that fire escape to death. Trash trucks, but now cement trucks, they're all at the 14-foot range. I just happened to be there, this wasn't planned, and here all of a sudden coming down the alleyway, because this is a very major, busy alleyway, is a trash truck. Now,